This is an open letter to President Trump. Bravo, sir. Bravo. You won the presidency. Great. Happy for you, sir. Here's the thing, sir. I'm not sure who's advising you, because the advisor to the king is very important. I'm not sure who's advising you, because if I call somebody and say, hey, advise me, what should I do? And if that somebody says, oh, how about you put a gun to your head and blow your head off, I would say that would be a bad advisor. And if somebody advises me to commit suicide, I would consider that as a bad advice. So the role of an advisor is very important. If somebody is crazy and advises you to put a gun to your head, and somebody is not crazy and says, why don't we meet? Why don't you come out for a coffee? No, put the gun down. Let's meet for a coffee. You see, advisors come in all kinds of shapes. Kissinger was an advisor who advised for a process against East Asia, in which caused the East Asians to hold their nose for a very long time. Still currently, the East Asians hold their nose whenever they see Americans. And here's the thing, sir. You may not think that's true, that East Asians don't hold their nose when they see an American. They do. It's just that you don't see the real population. Here's the problem with the upper crust, Mr. Trump. The upper crust doesn't meet everybody. The people who like to be close to the upper crust, which would include you, I guess, those people who want to be close to you are a specific group of people. For example, what I'm trying to say. Of the Iranians around you connected in any way with Iran, or Iranians around you, have any of them spent any time recently in Iran? No. Once you really think about it, Mr. Trump, ask questions. Mr. Trump, ask questions of the people around you, that when was the last time these people were actually in Iran? These people who advise you on Iran, and those Iranians around you. Those Iranians that are currently around you as advisors, friends, business partners, whatever. Ask them when was the last time they were in Iran, and see how much. What you're basically asking them is, how much did you suffer under our sanctions and embargoes? And if they say, oh no, I haven't been in Iran in 40 years, like Reza Pahlavi, for example. He says, I haven't been in Iran for 40 years. He left 50 years. When the revolution took place, Reza Pahlavi left with his father. So Reza Pahlavi hasn't been under any sanctions and embargoes that you imposed after these people left. So, but of the 90 million population of Iran, the average Iranian has been under your embargoes and sanctions for 50 years now. So you already don't have any friends over there. Don't let these people around you make you think that you're doing something good for the Iranians by bombing them or bombing their order into disorder. The Iranians over there like their order. If they didn't like their order, it would have already gone away. And if you try to destroy their order, if they didn't like that order, it would have already gone away, if the majority didn't like it. So the order also has made some changes in order to be liked by the majority. They have order. They have been under 40, 50 years of your sanctions and embargoes. And you literally, Mr. Trump, you're not the first one. United States literally paid the Iraqis to attack Iran. That was your predecessors many years back. They paid Iraq and gave arms to Iraq to attack Iran. Now you see the pattern. Now you're paying and giving arms to Israel to attack Iran. And eventually you have to step in yourself and you directly attack Iran to, I guess, take it over. I'm not sure how is this taking over business. First of all, don't think by just bombing Iran will not take care of the business. And, neither landing in Iran. Basically, from this projection, in this trajectory that you're going, Mr. Trump, you have no good option. Bombing them will not get rid of their nuclear technology. Why? Because through many centuries of existence, the Iranians have learned to keep one under the carpet. Through many centuries of existence, under attack from many other empires, the Iranians have learned to sometimes actually live underground and to keep one under the carpet. So no matter how many bombs you drop on their nuclear sites, they have one under the carpet, and I have a feeling they already have the bomb too. They just don't want to show it until, it's the last ace up their sleeve, this last card. But my point is this, my point is something else. If you bomb their nuclear facilities, they keep one under the carpet. Because they know invaders, and you keep one under the carpet if you know you have a history of being invaded. So you will never get rid of their technologies or the people who know about the technology, because there are hundreds, thousands now. It's not like you have achieved technology and everybody else has to live in the dark ages. They shouldn't know about atom. Salute. My point is this, sir. So bombing them is out of the question. If the intention is to stop their nuclear activity, you bomb them, they have one under the carpet, they will start it right away, and I have a feeling they will have multiple nuclear warheads before the end of the week. That's a problem. Also, if you say, okay, bomb, then invade, shock and awe, okay, fine. Besides that's another Iraq. We already seen, if the scenario has been played, the scenario is going to work the same way. But as you increase the scale, it becomes, enormous task, which, may upend the whole system because of the cost overruns. A country that already doesn't make that many things suddenly put on the steroids to start producing 10 times the ammunition in order to deal with Iran and occupying Iran. And you will never be able to really occupy Iran like you occupied Iraq, because these motherfuckers, they're mountain people. And half of the country is mountainous. Well, 3/4 of the country in Iran is mountainous. You already dealt in mountains with Afghans, and the Russians dealt in the mountains with Afghans. Mountain is not a terrain you want to be in a fight, because there are a lot of cracks and there are a lot of hiding places, and you don't want to go on a nuclear bombing spree across Middle East in order to make sure you get all the cracks. You already did that in Afghanistan. You weren't able to cover all the cracks, and eventually the Taliban came out of the cracks, and you cracked and left. So, President Trump, you can't make him denuclearize by bombing the nuclear site. And just to let you know, When Chernobyl blew up, the cloud of the nuclear particles spread around Europe in many places, and they have a tracking on it, where it went and what it has done to the population, to a lot of things with regards to their DNA and their down to the changing personality types because of the radioactive dust that spread. It didn't sit, it spread all around Europe from the initial first explosions. First of all, if you bomb the nuclear sites, you're going to spread a lot of nuclear dust, and that nuclear dust is not going to stay there. It goes up in the atmosphere because the particles are going to be hot. So the dust raises with hot air, goes to the upper parts of the atmosphere, and from there it starts circulating all over the world. So some of these radioactive particles that actually you blow up in Iran, because you blew up their nuclear sites, so a lot of the radioactive material went up in the air. Some of this radioactivity may actually reach United States, believe it or not. The dust that goes up from your bombing a nuclear site, that there are nuclear material in there. If when you bomb it, this dust particle goes up, way up, gets carried around by upper winds, and some of it actually may reach United States. So because you're living in the same fucking planet. The pollution that China was producing, a lot of it was ending in the United States because the wind blows that way. So in other words, you certainly have to think really hard about nuking China, because once you nuke China, the western half of the United States becomes unlivable because the wind direction is this way. So if you nuke China, if you get into a nuclear war with China, you actually kind of have got into a nuclear war with yourself, because at least the western half of the United States becomes, west of Rockies becomes uninhabitable, because all the radioactivity that not only will sit and spread on the Pacific Ocean, but also reach United States. Please follow what happened to the radioactivity that leaked out of the Daiichi plant. That radioactivity, much of it reached North America. Yeah, it wasn't played really loud because, you don't want to make the people panic, but you spread radioactivity anywhere, it will go out into upper atmosphere and spread all over the world, wherever it wants. You can't control that. So that's that part of the insanity. Another part of the insanity is, as I said, you bomb them, they have kept one under the carpet, they will double the speed, and they will have a couple of nukes within a week. So the third option, the worst option, is that, okay, bomb them and then go put boots on the ground. As I said, you really don't want to do that. These people don't like to be occupied, and many of them mountain people, if you come in with guns, they're going to take out their guns. It's going to be the same shit show as Afghanistan and Iraq. This is not, Iran is not Panama. Or Grenada. It's a, and why is the reason is like, Mr. Trump, my postman is a MAGA. Good for him. But he didn't get an extra cent in his paycheck for any of these bombs and missiles that you have sent Israel. He didn't get a cent extra in his paycheck, my postman. It wasn't like, okay, here's 2 cents, your share of the missile that we sold to Israel, the missile system that we sold to Israel yesterday, or gave to Israel. This is your 2 cents, your share of the profits from that missile that we sold to Israel yesterday. It doesn't add to his check. Okay. Who does this 2 cents? Where does this 2 cents go? The money that you spend on that missile that you sent to Israel. That's the money you, the government, prints and hands over to arms manufacturers for that missile. What do the arms manufacturers do with that money? They put that money in Wall Street, invested either in their own company or buy their sister company. And once that money reaches the Wall Street, after Wall Street taking their share up front, they start speculating with what remains of what Raytheon just deposited with them. They start speculating with that money. So speculation with money is what gambling is all about. Gambling is speculation with money, a very short-term speculation with money. You have a gambling house called Wall Street. I mean, Warren Buffett was the crown jewel because he was a long-term speculator. He wasn't a short-time speculator. He was honored of being long-time speculator. But still, speculators sitting at the table and having most of his chips at play. You see what I'm saying? Buying into the stocks. But nevertheless, it's all speculation. You purchase in order to sell at a higher price. If you purchase a portion, waiting not for an income from the portion, but speculation of the portion itself becoming more valuable, that's gambling. So, what I'm trying to reach, sir, is that the government is financing a gambling house called Wall Street. The US government is, by all these wars, the government is financing through arms purchase, and arms dealers put this money in Wall Street, and Wall Street people take their own percentage and speculate with the rest. That's government, United States government is funding Wall Street speculations. And not only Wall Street speculates with the money that they receive from the arms manufacturers, they're also speculating on the futures of those territories, those resources and those markets that they are hoping to get, the new markets, like in Iran. Here's the thing, sir, you should tell Wall Street, and you should know it yourself, these countries that you get by force, unless you turn them into a colony, a literal colony like Saudi Arabia, and Saudis are a different breed, and it's just like if one family that's holding the Saudis, the people of the Arabs in Saudi Arabia are held hostage by one family, that's the Saud family. They're hostages, and Arabs make good hostages because they don't struggle a lot. Iranians don't make good hostages. They struggle too much, like the Vietnamese. You see, the Vietnamese struggle too much. So there is no version that you go down this path and you're going to make more friends in Iran. Let me put it this way, sir. Remember the lie that they said that the Iraqis are going to welcome us, and then you got stuck killing them for 20 years to make sure at least if they don't welcome you, they didn't like to see you, at least you make sure they understand that they can't throw their shoes at you, so you kept on killing them for 20 years and eventually got tired of killing. I guess you ran out of money, or you are about to run out of money. Sir, Iranians are going to be even worse than that if you plan on putting boots on the ground. Remember that Iraqi that threw his shoe at President Bush? Remember, I want you to imagine President Trump. Remember the Iraqi that threw his shoe at George W. Bush? And that was the general feeling amongst all the Iraqis. That was after all the bullshit that people around Bush were telling themselves, and also they were telling Bush that yes, we are going to be welcome as liberators. You remember that, sir? Only the people around, those Iranians around you and those people advising about Iran around you, only those will tell you, forgive me, only those cocksuckers will tell you that Iranians are going to like you more after you bombing them or invading them. Only they will tell you that you will be looked upon as liberator after bombing them. Only they will tell you that, because they don't have any assets over there. They don't have any life over there. They don't have any they left their attachments from there 40, 50 years ago. So whatever they say is not going to be what the people on the ground over there are thinking. They don't speak for them, because Mr. Reza Pahlavi didn't live under sanctions and embargoes. He was living lavishly in North America, under protection. Do you see where I'm going with this? So the whole idea that you're going to be liberators and they're going to be in love with you and they're going to thank you for coming over and bombing them, and they're going to put roses in your soldiers' guns, and they're going to sleep with your soldiers willingly, and it's all nonsense. It's all nonsense. They're lying to you because they are not representing the people who are actually living there. The people who are actually living there will let's put it this way, after they go through a shit show like this because of you, they're not going to be more friendly to you or any other US administration. This is not going to make them more friendly, because they have suffered. Let me put it this way: are the Afghans more friendly or less friendly? Are the Iraqis more friendly or less friendly? Are the Libyans more friendly or less friendly? I mean, sir, are Somalians more friendly or less friendly? I mean, very few, like the Japanese, basically give up after World War II because they committed a lot of crimes as well, and they give up, and because Japanese really don't have any resources. Don't compare the Japanese with the Iranians. They go under the mountains, and it's a big land, they have a lot of resources, and they have a common language, and they have a common religion, and they have a common culture, and they will go underground and continue. That's going to be a shit show if you think of putting boots on the ground. It's going to be an absolute shit show. 10 times the shit show of Fallujah. Every fucking town. Because, they were invaded by the Mongols, then they were invaded by the Tatars, then they were invaded by the Arabs. You learn a lot after you get invaded. After you get invaded so many times, you learn a lot. Again, Afghanistan, like a quarter of the population of Iran with a tenth of Iran's technology, and after 20 years you had to throw in the fucking towel. And you still are paying for it, the budget deficit. Salute. You have to devalue the imperial currency in order to pay for 20 years of useless adventure in Afghanistan. Here's the thing, Mr. Trump. Please go back to the history if I don't know how much of the history you know. All these countries that you have recently visited as Uncle Sam's managers, Iraq and, Iraq and Afghanistan, and all these countries that you already have bases on, these Arab cocksuckers, all these places that you have boots on the ground, these all used to be the British colonies. Have you noticed that? This all used to be British colonies, sir. And have you noticed that you can't get rid of the British either, because the British are with you in Diego Garcia, and the British are with you in most of your military outposts. The British, are with you, even if that means sending you a doctor or a nurse or a cocksucker. The British will have a two-man attachment because, to be frank, sir, the British have been running their empire through you. The British have been running your empire through you. What I mean by that is that your policy with regards to West Asia is dictated by whom? By AIPAC. Who dictates to AIPAC? Israelis. Who dictates to Israelis? The British. The British created Israel. Many top Israelis are, very close to the British. They see the British as Israel's first ally, because British was the creator of Israel. You can call the fucking British kind of like Israel's mother. You can look at British as Israel's mother. They created them, so they have a very special relationship. So if you think AIPAC is manipulating you, no. Israel is manipulating you through AIPAC. If you think Israel is manipulating you, no. It's the British who are manipulating you through Israel, through AIPAC. Have you noticed that it's so important to them who is the president in the United States, that they actually, in the last election, they actually took sides, and it wasn't your side; it was for the Democrats. That's how important they think it for them to continue running their empire without actually supposedly sitting at the wheel. Is that they actually feel entitled to pick who wins the election in the United States. Help pick who wins the election. And here's the thing, sir. We have all noticed that the only difference between you and Mr. Biden is that Mr. Biden was willing to do imperialism at half price, but you want to do imperialism at full price. It's like all of you motherfuckers have to pay full price. Salute. You do imperialism at full price. You see where I'm going with this, sir? But the whole idea of imperialism in this manner, by force, never works out unless the subjugated party is very mellow. Unless the subjugated party is very mellow, this colonialism by force, imperialism by force doesn't work. You see, the Redskins were very mellow. They were hippies. The Redskins in North America were hippies. They were mellow. They were exactly, the hippies, remember, they slept in the teepoes, and, be with nature. That was the way of life with the Redskins. You see what I'm saying? So you were able to defeat hippies in North America and spread white people into North America. Now you're trying to spread white people into Asia. The Arabs are not hippies. The Iranians are not hippies. They're fighters. Do you see where I'm going with this? The people the original people of Australia, you can consider them as hippies, hunter-gatherers. The reason you are able to subjugate them, subdue them, and eventually eliminate them. The reason you were able to subjugate, subdue, and eventually eliminate the Redskins from the Americas, both North America and South America, but mostly in North America, the reason you were able to do that is because you were dealing with hippies, and natural hippies. That would be, the tribal Redskins, living with nature and getting inspiration from nature and whatever their system, the system that you used to live in. You dominated and eventually eliminated a bunch of hippies. Good for you. It was unfair, it was ungentlemanly, it was, I guess, very white of you to do that, but you did it. But you know why Africa is not all white people now? It's because even Africans are not that hippie. They're relaxed, but they're not that hippie. You see how the bloodshed that you did in East Asia in the 70s, 60s, 70s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, Central America, the bloodshed is because and you still weren't able to make the country white, is because the natives fought back, because the Vietnamese are not hippies. Here's the thing, sir. This is for all the white people who expect everybody to roll over and give up the ass. What you're left you eliminated all the hippies. There are no hippies left. You attack the Chinese are going to attack you back. You attack the Russians are going to attack you back. You attack the Iranians, they're going to attack you back. You put soldiers on the ground, you're going to have a hard time taking control, because they're not hippies. They're not relaxed. They're not living in teepees. They don't take it easy. They go underground, like you have seen in Gaza. They go underground and fight for 80 years. You think Arabs are hippies? You think people of Gaza are hippies? They've been fighting you for 80 years. For their land. How many hippies do you know who fight for a piece of land for 80 years? The hippies are nomads. They move around, they don't try not to get attached to any land. But these people, the Iranians, have been attached to that piece of land for a very long time. They're not hippies. They won't roll over. They haven't rolled over for 40, 50 years. I give you another people who are not hippies. The Cubans are not hippies. You started fingering the Canadians, they jumped out and screamed at you that they're not hippies. So there are very few hippies are left on this world, which what I'm trying to say is my white people, there are very few soft targets are left on planet Earth. You white people have eliminated most of the white targets, most of the soft targets. The white people have eliminated most of the soft targets in recent history of your planet. You eliminated. You see what I'm trying to say, Mr. Trump? It would have been nice if, white people, we only recognize as Europe as white people's land, and it would have been nice. And then we recognize as North America as Redskins land, and South America as different Redskins land, and we recognize Australia as Blackskins land. It would have been nice to have that kind of variety. But it seems white people of European origins they, they really don't want to see North America as a Redskins land. They want to see North America as White Skins land, and also South America as White Skins land. And the Europeans tried to make Africa as white people's land by just start killing as many Africans as they could find. They went to Asia. In 200 years, the British killed 200 million Indians. If you divide it, it becomes 1 million. The British killed 1 million Indians per year for 200 years that they were running India. Why they were running India? Because Indians are hippies. Have you noticed, the Beatles, they went to India and they really vibed with the system in India because Indians are naturally hippies. So British went over there and fucked them up the ass for 200 years at the price of killing 1 million Indians a year, because Indians are by nature hippies. There is nothing wrong with being a hippie, except if you're a hippie and stuck on the same planet as white people, you're in trouble. They come to your country and they kill 200 million people of you Indians in 200 years, and they won't leave until they're forced to leave. But again, Iranians are not Indians. You know how difficult it was for taking over Japan? It's going to be a lot more difficult taking over Iran, because how many nukes they used to take over Japan? 2. Are you planning on using 50 nukes on Iran? Unless you're planning on nuking the whole country, every major city, nuke every major city. Basically, if you want to acquire moon land, go right ahead. But, moon land is not very profitable. And believe me, Mr. Trump, it's not worth it to print government money and hand it to Wall Street to gamble with. I'm sorry, did I say gamble? I meant speculate on the stock market. There's nothing MAGA about that. You know why? Because I know it's not MAGA. Because my postman doesn't get an extra cent. Doesn't get an extra cent for any of these missiles in his paycheck. Any of these purchased and sold bombs, missiles, planes, sorties, meals that the soldiers eat. My postman doesn't get a cent extra, but I can assure you the corporation which prepares the meals for the soldiers is going to the bank every day. Sir, Mr. Trump, President Trump, I'm sorry, when you're going down a path and you see you're alone, you gotta, or if you're alone with Israel, you're down a dark path alone with Israel. You're the only 2 people left. You might consider that you may be going down the wrong path if nobody else is following you. Do a poll of Iranians in Iran. I can assure you the technology is there. Do a poll of Iranians living in Iran based on their zip code, based on their phone. Do a poll of Iranians and see what percentage of Iranians like to see you bombing them more, or invading them, or putting boots on the ground to save them. You have the technology. Do a poll from America in Iran, because in Iran you have to be, if you're invading them motherfuckers, you have to deal with them. You can't continue dealing with these cocksuckers that are around you, those Iranians that are around you. They haven't been living there for 40 years. They've been living around you for 40 years. So they're not really They're not carrying any baggage against you, the system that you represent. They don't carry any baggage against the system that you represent because they were living lavishly next to you. So they can't be a representative of a people that you have made suffer for 40 years. Do you see where I'm going with this, sir? You have made them suffer, your people, your predecessors, up to this point, have made them suffer for 40, 50 years through sanctions and embargoes. That's the situation with their people. Now you're bombing them. Do you think those people who have been under sanctions and embargoes and now bombing, that these are your bombs that reach Israel and Israel lobs them at Iran? You send bombs to Israel. You give money to arms industry, get arms, send to Israel, and Israel sends it on Iran, explodes over Iran. That money goes into Wall Street and Wall Street boys become happy. Do you think the Iranians, those who are on the receiving end of these arms, do you think they're going to look at you as liberators or conquerors? They're definitely looking at you as conquerors. And no country like conquerors. You like conquerors? So again, there is no good options. You bomb them, you're not going to get rid of their nuclear technology because they keep one under the carpet. You put soldiers down, you're going to have high casualties for many years, and the only beneficiary, as always, is going to be Wall Street, not my postman, the MAGA postman. Sir, this scenario will not work in your favor in the long run. Because, in the long run, yes, Wall Street was able to benefit from Iraqi invasion, but have you noticed the rest of the United States has suffered from the consequence of many years of wars in Iraq? So the situation that you are supposedly are not happy about, that is deficit because of multiple wars, because of spending so much on the arms industry, those problems are not going to go away, and the same problems are going to be added, problems of the same variety, i.e. Wall Street getting richer and Main Street getting poorer because money goes from the government through arms industry to Wall Street. Sir, here's the thing, sir. You say we are for peace, we are for peace, we are for peace, but you want to have an empire, and the kind of empire that you want to build is copied from the British, which is a bad version of what an empire could be. It's the Dark Lord version of the empire. Darth Vader version of the empire. I'm sorry, but your advisor are not giving you good advice. The good advice is, dude, you tell Israelis to open up their country and become a secular, multiracial, multi-religious country, and all the problem stops. And then you don't even have to worry about the Iranians and nuclear weapons. Sir, please get this thing out of your head if you're thinking, because you said something about Trump Tower in Gaza. Sir, unless you're planning on emptying Iran into Europe and having the land of Iran like you have the land of Gaza, you have prepared the land of Gaza for the Ashkenazi, and you're thinking maybe I can get the bigger chunk, the land of Iran, and call it Trump land. If you're thinking of that, sir, you should understand that once you conquer a tribe of people who are not hippies, once you conquer these people who are not I keep repeating this, sir, Iranians are not hippies. Iranians are farthest away from hippies. You have a difficult time forcing them down any path they don't want to go. So this idea, sir, that you think that maybe one day somebody builds a Trump Tower in Tehran in 10 years time, and I benefit from there. They would love to have Trump Tower there because I saved them. No, sir, no. I can assure you, not in 10 years. If you attack them, you're not going to be looked as liberators, as saviors. You're not. They're already pissed off at you for so many years of sanctions and embargoes. They're going to be even more pissed at you if you do this silly thing of attacking them. You see what I'm saying? And in no scenario can you count on the idea that they're gonna love me so much that they would want to build statues of me and build a Trump Tower. Somebody's going to build a Trump Tower in the middle of Tehran. In 5 years after I invade them and bomb them and invade them, they're going to build a Trump Tower, and I'm going to get a piece of action. That's not going to happen. If you think of that, I say it because it seems you thought of that about Gaza. It's sort of like, okay, Israel gets the whole Gaza, at least I should get a plot so I can build a Trump Tower there. If you're thinking that, I think you're thinking the same about Iran, and it's not going to happen. They're already the population, unless, it may happen, but your Trump Tower is going to burn down every night for 365 nights until whoever is paying for it is going to stop paying. It's not going to happen. Especially if you have entered their country in this way, by force. You're worried about their nuclear technology? No, you're not. You want to have a friendly government there. Again, they're not hippies. You will never get a friendly government in Iran if you bomb them. Because where does the government come from? You can't. You tried exporting Afghan government from DC. Remember? You took the old Afghan king from DC, from Paris. You flew him to Afghanistan. Here's your king. Here is your government ready-made. And you found Ahmad Karzai. Oh, we got your... You exported, you think you can export a government for Afghanistan from the Afghans who are in the West. Have these people been living under the sanctions and embargoes? Do they carry the same ill feelings towards you as the native population? Hey, I don't have any ill feelings towards you because at least I have been away from that sanction and embargo for 15 years. So I have lost a lot of my ill feelings towards you. But believe me, those who are living there and have been living there for the past 50 years, they haven't left their ill feelings towards you because of all the sanctions and embargoes and bombings and funding Iraq to attack them and now funding Israel to attack them. And now at the end, if you attack them, you think they're going to feel more love towards you? Sir, under no scenario would Iranians from this point on, Iranians will not feel any more love against you while you're going down this path. I'm not talking about the few Iranians who are around you or advising you about Iran as where you stand, because these people are not going to, are not haven't been affected and are not being affected by any of your policies towards Iran. Punitive policies towards Iran. They don't get affected. And you can't export these people that you attack and then you export these people to Iran. You think Iranians are going to be receptive of these people who haven't lived under sanctions and embargoes? You think you can install Reza Pahlavi, you take it from United States and you install it in Iran like you did the king of Afghans. And as long as your soldiers were there and protecting the king of Afghans, that was fine. And as soon as your soldiers left, the king of Afghanistan left with you. You can't export a government to these shitholes because they're not hippies. Mr. Trump, the reason you don't win any of your recent wars, the way both your left and right, white in general, when white people say we don't win any more wars, the reason you don't win any more wars is because the hippies are gone. You killed off all the hippies. You know, North America and South America, the hippie cultures that were easy layovers, you laid them down and fucked them and eliminated them. That would be the black Australians and the black and the red North Americans and the red South. You eliminated whatever was an easy lay. The rest of these people are not easy lay. That's why you can't lay them down the way an average white man likes you to lay down these other races. You can't lay them down because they are not hippies. Best solution is, sir, just it's a bad idea in this idea of Israel and exclusively Ashkenazi gated community of Israel, of white people in a corner of land that belongs historically to brown people is a crazy idea. It's a crazy idea. It's a nasty idea. The sooner you make a sane decision to back away from this nasty, insane idea of creation of Israel, the sooner you don't even have to worry about Iranians and nuclear weapons, because there's no need. If you're not, here's the thing, sir, if you're outside the door trying to break in, people try to find weapons. Maybe nuclear. But if you're not trying to break in and you're letting them live their life, they don't need nuclear weapons. They don't need any weapons. You look for your weapon when somebody's trying to break the door in. You keep trying to break the door in. You have broken the door in Iraq and Afghanistan and Syria and Libya and Lebanon. White people, you folks keep breaking down doors, going in uninvited for the purpose of dominating the native population. Well, those native population who are more hippie get dominated. Those native population who are less hippie don't get dominated. And now is about time you got rid of all the hippies. Everybody else is pretty dug in their ways. They're not going to be an easy lay. And something that is not an easy lay is costly. Do you have the money or the time, or frankly, or do you want to use sanity and say, no, enough is enough, these people don't want to lay down, we go home. We just have an embassy there. And Israel, and you don't want to be fighting everybody in the Middle East. Might as well you open up your cities to the native Arabs. End of story. And you can't, once the Iranians, sir, once the Iranians have seen they're not hippies, that means one of the things about not being hippies, that means they're not stupid. They have seen how you keep killing your negotiating partners. They've seen it. If they didn't think you were the great Satan, now that you keep eliminating, killing your supposed negotiating partners, now they are certain that you're Satan. Who the fuck kills their supposed negotiating partner? Somebody who doesn't, somebody who doesn't value the life of their negotiating partner kills the negotiating partner. Sir, how do you think this looks in the global view? How do you think Indonesians look at this when they see United States says we are negotiating but kills their negotiating partner if they don't like the result of negotiations? How do the Malaysians see this? How do the Indonesians see this? How do the Vietnamese see this? How do the people of Thailand see this? How do the Indians see this? How do the Pakistanis see it? How do the Turks see it? How do the Russians see this? You kill your what you consider as negotiating partners. Sir, Mr. Trump, you are in a corner with Israel and the British and the fucking French. You are in the corner with these three. With you it makes four. When you're in that small a minority, you should consider that maybe you're wrong, that you're on the wrong path. That's why you're in such a small minority. They're not hippies, sir. They're not hippies. I'm a hippie. They're not.